Good tea. Welcome back to the railroad, everyone. Hope you've all had great holidays. Today I have a special project I'm going to be doing. I have an old Shay that I picked up at the Carlson collection. And this Shay is not a brand name that I'm familiar with because I can't find a brand name on it. As I recall, this was called an 18-ton Shay. I don't know that it was Bachmann. It could well be an early Accucraft, but it's a nice looking little engine. It has two Pitman motors in it. At least I think they are Pitmans. And it's a good runner. The gears are solid on it. So the only problem is this tender does not have enough room to put the sound system and a RC board in it, let alone any batteries. So what we've got today is this little car, and this car was actually originally built by a gentleman in Portland, Oregon, a William E. Johnson. So this is just a nice little work car. This will be towed right behind the little 18-ton Shay. I did put Bachmann's on it. It has the old hook and loops on the engine, which I changed out. I just added a Bachmann knuckle coupler to it. And I was going to put a fairly large speaker in it. These are only 3-watt speakers. They do sound fairly well because of the large magnets. However, I decided because of the space available to actually put my speakers here. So I have two little speakers. They're only 1 amp each, but they're 8 ohms, so I did them in series. They actually do sound really good. I've tested them out already. Okay, so getting back to where I'm going to put everything is going to be under this house. And for right now, I just tested it, so I've got everything just sitting here. Now this will be run off of a Makita battery. So in the process, you'll see me building a shelf in here where the battery will sit, and the two boards will sit below it. So I still have to leave enough room in here for a shelf to sit and then a Makita battery on top of that. Now I do have some of these smaller Makita batteries. These are the 1815s. These are Makita 1815s, and they should fit in there fairly easily with the clip on top. So let's get into this and see how she works. Okay, so now comes the building process. I need to build a support to hold this battery over the boards and yet give me enough room to still put the cover on it. So it's going to be low. It's going to be like that. It'll leave room for things that I need in here. And let's get busy. So now that we have the battery unit set where the battery will set right in it, and actually the smaller battery is a tighter fit than the larger battery. But either of them will stay in place if there's enough room in here once we get this set. Now I need legs to hold this up above everything, so I built a little unit like that. We'll glue these in place and then we'll let it dry, see how it fits, and we'll test this unit out. All right, so we've made a couple of adjustments here just to make sure everything's going to fit. I had to move the controller setting here, the linking pin, and I'll have to move the volume control up to a higher point inside here. So we'll do that in a bit, but our bracket is all nicely solid. It's glued in well. It will set right over the unit like this, and eventually it'll be glued in place so that if I do have to get into this, I'll have to unglue it. But it will only work with the lower profile batteries, the 1850s. These larger 1830s, or 1815s, sorry. The 1830s are just a little too tall to fit in there, but that's okay. This will be just fine. So we have our battery set in place. The power connector slides in, and this will be actually attached up in here. So for right now, I'm just going to run it around and set it here so we can try this. The shovel goes forward. Keep close calls on some of this. The wiring's going to have to get a little better with. And that's it. She sets down, and she's locked into place. Well, it's not locked into place, but it sits down nicely. So that will contain our battery, our RC board for the train engineer, our Phoenix soundboard, the old 97. And to run down what some of these things are, okay. This is the old Phoenix soundboard for a Shay. It's got big boost, but it is the Big Sound 97. So it was built in 1997 is when these came out. And I'm not putting the big boost in or their speaker because I needed smaller speakers. Okay, the board is one of train engineers on board with dual amps. Now, if I'd have run with the sound system for here, I could use the dual amp speakers here. However, I don't really have a lot of room for the speakers, so the speakers are here. They will be just little 1 amps, 8 ohms. So those are good. And of course, we're running Makita Battery. And this soundboard came with its own rechargeable 9-volt battery. So if I have to replace it, I'll replace it with a new 9-volt. It's always been in the box. It was never installed. So if the battery's still any good, which I think it might have a few charges left, I'll run that for a while. It's only a backup anyway. Okay, let's get some more of this put together and get it secured in place. Okay, now that everything's pretty well set in place and I've got the switch secured in, I've got the boxes secured on, now I've put a dab of glue onto each corner, and I will be setting this in place. The rear goes here, which is at the rear. Okay. Now, to hold that down, I'll have a battery in place. I'll have it locked in just so we have it under normal operating conditions. And then there it goes. Just took a little bit of finagling. It's setting down, it's setting square. We have our volume control. I'll figure out which is up and which is down later. The only thing I still have to set in place, if all this will stay, is the chuff trigger. And that will be my last thing that I set up once everything's set. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, this was actually built, handcrafted by William E. Johnson, Portland, Oregon. So I'm going to do some research on Mr. Johnson just to see who it is and what else he had done. I have about 4 cars that he built, and they are going to be going with my engine. So This engine is an 18-ton Shay. At least that's the way I recall these. And I cannot find a manufacturer's name, so I'm not sure who actually built this. It does have a removable cab roof, and it's very detailed inside. If you can take a look in there, the gauges have ink printed on them. All the levers are very fine. There's an oil can. The gentleman, the fireman, is dutifully reading up on his codes of the railroad while the engineer is checking his timepiece just to make sure he's still on time. It is a lit cabin, and they are actually metal trucks for the most part. The outside is a plastic, but most of the operating gear is metal, and it is all in good operating condition. So I'm looking forward to having this run on the railroad. And I've taken a Bachmann coupler here and just set it up on the old hook and loop system. They outlawed these, I think it was in the 1920s or 30s, the hook and loops. Too many people lost hands, fingers, killed. Let's check this thing out and see how it sounds. We don't have a lot of test track on this, but let's see what we can do. So we do have chuff. Granted, it's such a short piece of track that I don't have a lot. And we have a beautiful running little engine. I look forward to running this summer. Okay, we're going to make a quick run of this as it's starting to rain already. I don't want to get this stuff too wet. So far it's just a light drizzle. I brought an extra car out that we can tow along behind. Battery car's a little heavy on one end. And our beautiful little engine. Little 18-ton, 2-truck Shay. At least that's my remembrance of what this thing's supposed to be. Okay. And let's see how she goes. Okay, so we want to go the other forward. Okay, Woody, come on back. Okay. Okay, turn the volume up a little. Let's try going ahead. She is not a fast engine. That was 100%. So I think I will add the extra magnet on to make it chuff twice as fast. It needs that for a Shay. But she's a nice, smooth running little engine. Okay. Well, there you have it. We have a 2-truck Shay with a sound system. We'll put in a off-on switch, and we're also going to put in a second magnet for better chuff. And I'll probably do something about this chimney, put one of the toppers in it on it. Okay. If you like that one, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any comments about what you'd like to see me do next, please leave them in the comments below. We'll see you down the rails, and God bless.